What is up? It's me, Rook Thomas, everyone's favorite scaredy cat. Yes, you heard me right. I am hugely frightened of many things, but for today we're going to focus on horror. I get freaked out by scary stories. I can't go through haunted houses, and I am hugely terrified by horror movies. That last one is a particular problem for me because, well, I like horror movies. You saw it in my last video when I talked at length about Psycho. I think that horror films are often a compelling reflection of our society and our values. I love the artistry that goes into films like Get Out and how they're able to be genuinely disturbing while also making us turn and look at ourselves and the society that we live in. I think that the genre is so complex and fascinating. It makes me wish I could, sit through a horror movie without dying. So if you have a similar problem, I'm here with some tips for you. I did some research into the psychology of horror films, as well as compiling my own personal tricks into how to survive a horror film. Viewer's edition. Side note, before we start, I'm not a professional in any way. I'm just a guy on YouTube sharing what works for me and some information I read in some articles. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Rook from the future. I scripted and filmed this video like a long time ago. Maybe you could tell by the fact that I look different, and also I literally just said I was from the future. But I still think it's a pretty valuable video. I really like the work I put into it, and I think it turned out really well, which is why I'm still putting it out. But I did want to say some things have changed. Since I filmed it, I've watched all of these horror movies, partially because of some of the tips that I'm going to talk about here, and also just from general improvement. I think I've just gotten better at watching horror movies for some reason. Something just clicked. So I guess this is kind of less of me coming in to explain something from you and more of just a progress report. I'm getting better. But yeah, I still really like this video, so let's hand it off to me from the past to finish it out for you. The Ohio State University Health and Discovery has an article from October 27th, 2023 by Katherine Brownlowe, MD, titled, "What Happens to Your Body When It Gets Spooked?" The article describes what happens in our bodies when we get scared. A scary movie will activate your amygdala, which instructs your body on how to react to fear. The article states, "Your body is preparing your fight or flight decision against the perceived threat. This response often happens without conscious input and has been called an amygdala hijack." It then describes possible ways this might affect your body, including freezing, feeling nauseous or pressure to have bowel movements, rising cortisol and adrenaline, two stress hormones, and focusing mental sharpness. Knowing how fear affects our body can help us when determining how to best combat our fear. Our fear response isn't something we can stop fully, so we just have to learn how to manage it when we're trying to get through something like a horror film. I have 3 tips for how I watch horror movies and trick my mind into not being paralyzed by fear. Tip number 1, be in a comfortable, safe space. For me, being comfortable helps me feel less afraid. Being wrapped up in my blankets with my stuffed animals and a good friend helps me feel safe and therefore diminish the fear that I'm feeling from what's happening on the screen. For good measure, keep the lights on so you don't get spooked by any shadows moving around. One of the reasons why scary films affect me personally so much is because I tend to get lost in the story on screen. By making sure the environment that I'm in is someplace where I feel safe and comfortable helps me remind myself that I'm not actually in any danger from the monsters that are on screen. This is one of the reasons why I don't like watching horror movies in theaters. I can't control the environment that I'm in as much, and therefore I feel more afraid. Actually, all of these tips kind of factor into why I'm picky about what movies I watch in theaters, but especially this next one. Tip 2, watch the film on a small screen. I don't really know how to explain why this one works. For me, personally, I've just found that I feel less afraid when I watch something on a smaller screen. For me, this usually means watching the movie on my laptop, but I imagine the effect would be the same if you're watching it on your phone or on your TV. Sometimes for extra measure, I go as far as to watch it minimized in the tab, but I actually don't think that's super necessary. This tip ties into what I said earlier about being able to draw yourself out of the world of the film. By being able to see the edges of the screen and that the world, my world, exists outside of it, I'm less scared. I can still be immersed in the world and the story of the film with a visual reminder that the monster on screen isn't going to attack me too. Tip 3. Take a break and don't be afraid to pause the movie. This is probably my strongest tip when it comes to surviving a scary film. Just pause it. Take a break. Take a breather. It's not gonna hurt you. Whenever I feel my body going too far into fight or flight mode, I just pause the film. I take a second to breathe and wait until I calm down before I start it up again. Usually I know that I'm getting too stressed because my chest will get all tight and I can't breathe very well, so I'll just pause the film, wait until that feeling goes away, and then continue. Take as many breaks as you need to get through the film. I will warn you though, not to get too distracted on your breaks, like on your phone or something, because that can lead to you feeling detached from the film. It's a fine line to walk between breaks that are long enough that you're not overly scared the whole time, but also that are short enough that you can still remain engaged with the film. This tip also means that watching the movie will take longer than its allotted runtime because you keep stopping and starting it, so be sure to allot for that when you're planning out your evening. From my personal experience though, this tip is like my secret weapon when it comes to movies that I'm really interested in seeing, but I know will stress me out a lot. And those are my tips for surviving as an audience member of a horror film. How do you watch scary movies? Have you tried some of these techniques before, or do you have some of your own? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you thought of these tips and maybe learn some more that I can try out in the future. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed getting to learn more about how our bodies respond to fear. It was really fascinating. Originally, I was going to do a video about why horror movies are scary in the first place, but there's already tons of good videos about that, so I decided to do a topic that was a little bit more specific, and honestly more personal, and I hope you liked it. If you did, be sure to leave a little like. And if you want to see me talk more about movies, or do projects, or ramble about whatever concept my mind has latched onto for the week, be sure to subscribe. Thank you again for joining me, and this is Rook Thomas, signing off until next time. Bye-bye!